Good evening and welcome to Kini News. Many people were waiting for news on interstate travel during the Aidilfitri celebrations. Now, although no decision has been made just yet, the Health Ministry has proposed that the interstate travel ban should remain.
The Health Ministry has proposed that interstate travel for the upcoming Aidilfitri celebrations be postponed. Health Minister Dr Adham Baba said this was as COVID-19 cases in the country were still rising and not stable. He said it was also following complaints and appeals from various quarters for the government to postpone the lifting of the interstate travel ban. Dr Adham added that most states are currently under the Conditional Movement Control Order and Recovery MCO until April 28th, and the National COVID-19 Immunization Program is also still ongoing. Malaysia recorded 2,148 new COVID-19 cases today. This is the highest number of cases in 41 days. Sarawak reported the highest number of cases with 512, followed by Selangor with 459, and Kelantan with 221.
Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin told industry associations and business chambers today that the government does not intend to impose another period of the Movement Control Order or MCO nationwide. However, targeted MCO would be imposed in designated locations.
Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin has announced that the government has no intention to enforce another round of the Movement Control Order. He said this during a speech to industry associations and business chambers today. However, he said industries must ensure strict compliance with COVID-19 standard operating procedures, especially in workers' accommodations. According to Muhyiddin, more than 83% of COVID-19 cases are from the manufacturing sector, and the workers' accommodations and hostels were often the sources of infections. Muhyiddin added that targeted MCO would be imposed in designated locations that are considered as the point of ignition sites. His announcement came a day after it was announced that the MCO would be implemented in 7 Kelantan districts starting from Friday. Muhyiddin also assured that the emergency was aimed solely at curbing the COVID-19 pandemic by allowing the government to fast-track legislative measures needed to manage it. He reiterated that the emergency will not be used to violate human rights, private property, and other legal rights.
There are apparently ongoing attempts to bring Dr Mahathir Mohamad on board the Perikatan Nasional Coalition. This was revealed by Dr Mahathir himself in an interview with Malaysia Kini yesterday. Now, before we show you that, if you like our content, do check the link in the description and you can become a contributor to help support the independent media.
Dari awal lagi, saya yang jadi kandidat. Sebab itu Hamzah dapat statutory declaration daripada Hadi, daripada Anwar, daripada Najib dan semuanya sokong saya supaya bila dia keluar, saya pun keluar sama, saya jadi Perdana Menteri parti lawan, parti yang saya lawan dulu. Saya tak nak. Sebab itu Muhyiddin tahu saya tak nak, dia tawar diri dia untuk jadi. So dia jadilah. Tapi saya tak nak. Kalau bukan saja masa tu, sekarang ini pun masih lagi ada usaha nak tarik saya masuk. Saya tak boleh. Saya janji dengan orang. Saya buat ucapan janji dengan orang, kita nak tolak Najib apa semua. Saya tak boleh kerjasama dengan Najib. Dia parti sekarang ni, kalau tak ada Najib dengan 4-5 orang lagi itu court cluster tu jatuh. So they are dependent. Number one, they are dependent on the non-Malays. Number two, they are dependent upon criminals. I can't be associated with that.
DAP veteran Lim Kit Siang has shared some lessons that Pakatan Harapan should learn from their 22 months in power. He also called on former Foreign Minister Saifuddin Abdullah to reveal who was in charge of the ratification and implementation of the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, better known as ICERD, during that time.
Former Foreign Minister Saifuddin Abdullah should reveal who was in charge of the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, or ICERD, when Pakatan Harapan was in power. DAP veteran Lim Kit Siang said this in response to Saifuddin, who had denied that he was the minister in charge. Saifuddin's denial had also been disputed by Lembah Pantai MP Fahmi Fadzil yesterday. In a statement today, Lim questioned if Saifuddin would reveal who was the minister responsible, or is he prepared to see an increase in his trust deficit. Lim said that DAP was demonized as being anti-Malay, anti-Islam, and anti-royalty for the proposal to ratify ICERD, when it had nothing to do with the party. He added that ministers must be honest, trustworthy, and have integrity. This was among several lessons that he outlined from the 22 months that Pakatan Harapan was in power. Other lessons included being more aware of the power of lies, falsehood, fake news and disinformation, and not interfering in the affairs of another member party, as well as being serious about implementing election pledges. Previously, DAP Organizing Secretary Anthony Loke had claimed that the idea to ratify ICERD and the Rome Statute was Saifuddin's, and not that of the DAP. Plans to ratify ICERD caused outrage among conservative Malay groups, who believed it threatened their privileges. Following this, the Harapan government decided not to proceed with ratifying the treaty.
Shellfish, red meat, and beer. If you love indulging in these foods, you may end up with high uric acid level in your blood. These foods consist high level of purine, a substance that will eventually break down into uric acid and be excreted through our urine. It is recommended that the amount of dietary purines should be kept between 600 to 1000 milligrams per day. Having too much uric acid in your blood can cause attacks of gout. It can also cause kidney stones and blockage in the kidney. The crystallization of the excessive uric acid in your blood can be eased by reducing purine-rich food to only 100 to 150 milligrams daily, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and consuming urinary alkalinizer like Ural. It consists of sodium bicarbonate, citric acid, and sodium citrate that increases the urinary pH and solubility of uric acid to prevent crystallization. Best of all, it's lemon-flavored and sugar-free. Ural, effective urinary alkalinizer. Neutralize your uric acid problem now.
With the increase in corruption cases that involve public officers, many have linked low pay to being the motivator for officers to take bribes. However, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission or MACC Chief Adham Baba said that low pay is not always the motivator for corrupt officials, as a lot of the cases actually involve high-ranking officers.
Many have linked low salaries as the main factor of corruption involving civil servants and called on the government to review the wages for the public service. However, MACC Chief Adham Baba doesn't believe that low wages contributed to corruption and abuse of power. In an interview with TV Al Hijrah yesterday, he said, "Greed for material wealth and lack of integrity is what drives corrupt public officers to take bribes." He said, in corruption cases, it involved those in power because they have the authority to do so. Adham said high-ranking officials have the opportunity and room to receive bribes as they are involved in the decision and policy-making process in government entities. Compared with government officials today, he said decades ago, he hardly heard of high-ranking officials involved in corruption practices. Adham, who has been with the Graftbuster for 37 years, drew the conclusion from the increasing trend of high-ranking officers being nabbed in various enforcement operations, particularly the recent high-profile Project Tender cartel. He said the government should instill integrity in civil servants by making it compulsory to participate in relevant courses, and added that it was never too late for Malaysia to instill integrity in the public service.
And that's all for Kini News this evening. For more stories, go to kinitv.com. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook to get the latest news updates. Before we leave you, if you want to support the independent media, please do consider a subscription to malaysiakini.com. If you already subscribed, thank you very much. If not, you can check the link that we put in the description below to make a small donation to help us continue to bring you quality content. If you're heading out, please don't forget your mask, and when you can, still do try to stay home. I know it's going to probably be a lonely Aidilfitri, but we'll still have to weather the storm together. I'm Daniel Anthony, thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe Malaysia.